Orlando, this is Bob Lazzari, Tony D'Angelo here in Eastern Connecticut. Welcome to Monday Night Sports Talk.
Good evening, Orlando.
Good evening to you guys. Thank
Orlando,
you
I had a chance to talk to you, if you remember, on the Red Sox Internet shows last fall, and I have to say you are one of the most pleasurable interviews we've had on that show, and it's been a goal of mine to get you on this television show, and you've been cooperative enough to do that. And again, thanks again for all your cooperation. It's a pleasure to speak with you again.
Well, thank you, sir.
And again, a little background for our viewers. Orlando was a switch hitter, Tony.
Yes.
He attended University Garden High School in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Drafted by Pittsburgh, the Pirates as an amateur free agent back in 1985. 13 seasons in the big leagues between 1990 and 2003 for 7 different ball clubs. The majority of his tenure was spent as a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates. 277, very respectable lifetime average in almost 1,400 games. Tony played mostly as a right fielder and first baseman, hit over 100 home runs and drove in close to 600 runs. And again, what we normally do here, Orlando, go back to your roots. And my question would be, your first question, you grew up in Puerto Rico where I want to know who the big stars down there were, who you idolized.
Who'd you like watching?
Who did you always want to be a ball player growing up, Orlando?
Most definitely. I think, Roberto Clemente was a big star back in the 70s and 60s, well, 60s and 70s. And it's a hero in Puerto Rico, has always been to most Latin American players. Orlando Cepeda, Juan Marichal, just to name a few. Just knowing them from being from the islands and different background, you can see their stardom. You can see the way they play baseball and the things they did for humanity and for all the children here that you always wanted to be a ball player, just like Clemente and Cepeda and Marichal and many others.
Those are some role models there, Tony.
Certainly,
some guys to look up to. And here you are. You're drafted by the Pirates in '85, Orlando. A team at that time, Tony, and you remember, having been known as great hitters in their lineup year after year. This is
Lumber and Lightning. Yeah.
I just want to get your thoughts, Orlando. Your thoughts as soon as Pittsburgh, your name came over the draft board. Your attitude about coming to Pittsburgh, and you must have been very excited at the time, I would think.
Oh yes, absolutely. It was a dream come true, knowing that you spend 5 years in the minor leagues. I think I was lucky then. There's a lot of players that play a lifetime in the minor leagues, and just having the opportunity in that organization just to grow up and just do the same thing your hero did, and just playing baseball. Something that you love to do and enjoy doing. And Pittsburgh, to me, it's always going to be a very special place. I'm really excited that the team these days is playing real well. They're second in their Central Division, and it's good to see the organization going from being in last place so many years, and then me having the opportunity to play in Pittsburgh in the early '90s when the Pirates were winning 90 game plus 3 years in a row, and obviously I would have loved to play in the World Series. It never really happened. We had a strong division, plus Atlanta at the time was really strong on pitching and defense. So, but my time in Pittsburgh, it's memorable. It's always going to be very special. I got to play right field, the same position my neighbor in Puerto Rico play, and just the excitement of being in the game. Just love it.
And I should tell our viewers, Tony, that Orlando hit a home run in Game 3 of the 1991 NLCS versus Atlanta.
Yes.
Was that off John Smoltz, Orlando?
John Smoltz, that's correct.
Wow.
John Smoltz, they had Avery, Smoltz, Glavin, you name it. They have Peña as the closer. They had a great team with Ron Gano, Otis Nixon, and Blauser, and you name it. Ring at the time in 1990. '90 was also on that team. Francisco Cabrera, I think in '92 was the key, had the key hit to just in Game 7 to beat the Pirates. I mean, there's so many memories just going back. I mean, some of them are a little sour, but just the opportunity that God actually has given me just to be at the right place at the right time. My career, I mean, it's not maybe as well as other Hall of Famers or other players that play the game, but just the little that I contribute to the game at the time and the young children and just in general the MLB, it's a special place to be and to play.
And you could tell the gratitude in Orlando's voice,
It's,
Tony. Again, folks at home, we're
True
on the phone with
appreciation.
former Major Leaguer Orlando Merced, who had a 13-year career. Tony, question for Mr. Merced.
And Orlando, good evening. We're honored to have you.
Good evening.
You were in Pittsburgh, and the club was doing well, and as time went on, club wasn't doing so well. Then the club started not to do well at all. I mean, what do you think caused that? And that must have been kind of a tough thing to take over time.
Well, at the time, I think the majority of the changes that occurred at the time was maybe the budget. A small market team was difficult to actually, hire or sign big names, big players. They didn't have the financial, background at the time, and the game was changing. There were a few strikes and the walkout in '94. I mean, we had great teams. We just couldn't keep the players. Bobby and Barry Bonds, they both left, and the team did real well acquiring players for the chemistry, and obviously, I think at the time also there were administration changes, and it take a while to get an organization and really put all the pieces together, and when a lot of changes are occurring at the time, it's very difficult to have the right combination of player and the chemistry for the field.
Surely so. And as we talk to Orlando, we do have a collage of pictures at various times of his career, some ex-baseball cards of his that we'll throw on the screen as we speak. You finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting in 1991 to Jeff Bagwell, who was actually from Connecticut up here. He was idolized up here, Orlando. Mm-hmm. And ironically, you would go on to play with Bagwell as you were finishing your career in Houston. But as far as your efforts that first full year, you must have been very proud to even finish second to a guy like Bagwell, who's got Hall of Fame numbers in your first full season.
No, absolutely. I think I've always been very thankful to Jeff Bagwell. I've always let him know that the caliber of human being he is and player that he was, it just it helped me step, my game to a different level and just competing not only in the major leagues, but having that connection as an individual, and it was a motivation. I mean, I knew Jeff was an outstanding player. He was always projected to be a Hall of Famer, and he carried on his career very well. And just having my name, just throwing in that bunch of great players, it's always been a very special moment for me, and it's always been very proud. I mean, it wasn't overlooked, and even though Jeff was in Houston at the time, and obviously played his career in Houston, started in Boston. Actually, got I think traded at one time to the Houston Astros, but it was fun. I really enjoyed it everywhere we went. Obviously, we were the talk of the town, and it was just the highlight of my life. I've always been appreciative of that.
And you talked about your time in Pittsburgh, especially the years you had there, Orlando. You had your two best seasons there, obviously, 93 and 95. You hit 300 or more both seasons, and you drove in 70 or more runs each season. Mm-hmm. And I know Tony wanted to ask you this also, how was the old Three Rivers Stadium as a hitter's park?
Well, Three River was the hitter's park. It was always a fun place to play. The fans, even though that we didn't have huge crowds at the time, they're very into it. The Pittsburgh fans, whether it's football or hockey or baseball, they really know what's going on around with the teams, and they always follow the teams whether they go to the games or not. And it's always been great for me. I mean, I enjoy playing in Chicago and St. Louis. I mean, the hitter's park, knowing the history. I mean, we have Ray Miller, who was our pitching coach at the time. He was an awesome coach to have. It was just like a father. He will tell you stories about history about the game on the stadiums that we were playing, and just all that information, and it made it more excited knowing that you were playing and running on the field where great ball players, Hall of Famers, have set their foot and been known to the public.
Again, you're watching Monday Night Sports Talk, your July 30th edition. On the phone with us, former MLB player Orlando Merced. Tony.
And Orlando, you had the privilege of playing for a number of managers, Jim Leyland, Cito Gaston, Philippe Alou, Larry Dierker, and I imagine you'll learn something from each one of them. Did you have a favorite, or did any one of these guys make an impression on you, something they either did or did not do?
Well, to be honest with you, I think when I started in Pittsburgh, Jimmy's always been not only a mentor at the time, but was always someone that has family values extremely high, and he knew the importance of not only the game, but the importance of your family around. And I learned a lot on that team. I think I really established myself as a player in Pittsburgh, and learn a lot about how smart he is, and how he carried on a season, and how he kept motivating all the players every day. I mean, besides, you belong to the Major League club. I mean, it's a family. It's your family. You spend more time with them than you do with actually your brothers and sister and your kids or your wife. And it's amazing how that chemistry is just built on as every day, as every game go on. And with Jim was an educator, and I believe he still is. He will explain to you situations and the reason why he felt that it was better to do a move or just or the way he played the game. National League has always been to me a fascinating game, just because the pitcher is involved in the game, and there's always a double switch, and there's more techniques in regards to
you like that better, yeah.
How to burn your players and how to burn the other bullpen for the other team. So with Cito Gaston, I will say I spent all my first 6 years in Pittsburgh, and obviously went to a new league where I have no knowledge of any of the players, and I think Cito was the guy who just very patiently will sit back and observe and just try to figure out your feelings about where you're at and how you play in the game. And at one time, I sit next to him and I say, okay, I need to figure this league out. I know that I'm a better player than I am at this time, but I need to get some knowledge from you. And he was very, very open. He was not only a great player, but he knows how to transmit the information at the time during the game. It could be the first at bat or the fourth at bat. He just knew exactly how to get you click at the right time.
Yeah, that was kind of my, you almost answered my next question, Orlando. I was going to say, when you went for Pittsburgh, traded to Toronto, Tony, not only a different league, a different country.
Yeah,
it's
a
almost
different
like your
culture
life
altogether.
changes around. Orlando did hit 9 home runs for those 97 Blue Jays.
Jays,
and it was just, basically I wanted him to comment on beside the DH, Orlando, any other major differences between the two leagues that you saw?
Well, I think the game itself, the pitching, the game situation, you don't have all the switches that you do when you have a pitcher actually in the lineup. But everything at the time, to me, was kind of backwards. I mean, the National League is known for more power pitching. Even though there are power pitchers in the American League, I think the secondary stuff, the breaking ball, the changeup, they seem to use it backwards. I mean, in the National League, they're very aggressive with the fastball from the start of your at-bat, and they tend to use the pitch more than they use on the National League. I mean, in the American League, I'm sorry. They do have more, as a hitter, you have to be more patient in the American League, just because they use the breaking ball, the changeup, and the slider, I think, a little bit more on counts. 3-0, 3-1, 3-2, they have the ability to throw that breaking ball over the plate, really. So it makes it more difficult, actually, to have a rhythm and to hit, really, I think, just because they use more pitches.
That's very interesting. Again, we have a few more minutes on the line with former big leaguer Orlando Merced. Tony, question.
And Orlando, these days, I understand you find yourself working with younger players, and when you're counseling and teaching these younger players and teaching them how to be better hitters, what kinds of things are you telling them? What's kind of the best advice that you can give to a young hitter? Is it discipline, timing, patience, combination of the three? You tell us.
Well, I think so. I mean, when the game itself, hitting itself, is very complicated. I think it's one of the most difficult tasks to do as an athlete, and just for a young guy, it's very. I mean, even for a major leaguer, it's very frustrated to miss a pitch or to actually. It's kind of embarrassing when you really strike out or just make really a fool at the plate, just because it's very difficult. But for a young kid, you have to be very patient. I mean, the most important thing for a kid is to actually see the ball and just to make contact. Really, some of the parents want the kids to get a hit or a home run, and that's really difficult. I think my teaching mostly is just solid contact, see the ball, actually learn if they can see the rotation, they see the seams of the ball. Try to get in their mind to get some information to see what really they actually are viewing or seeing the baseball, and just having fun. That's the most important thing for a kid, is to just go to the park and have fun, hit the ball, run, throw, enjoy being out there and enjoy being with all the teammates, having fun playing baseball.
Understand.
And Orlando, up here in the Boston, New York area, you had the fortunate situation of being a teammate of both Tim Wakefield and Jason Varitek. Wakefield, both as a member of the Pirates and the Red Sox. Both of those men were recently retired, of course, and were honored on separate occasions. I know you didn't spend much time in Boston, but I just wanted to get your memories of those two guys. They just seemed to me like very good gentlemen and tough-nosed players during their careers.
I think so. Tim, we grew up actually in the Pirate system. I had the pleasure to actually play with him when we were winning in the big leagues in Pittsburgh. Then I got traded. I spent about 30 days in Boston. Really, actually, it's it was an awesome time at the time, and I was able to spend time with Jason and also team, and both of them had great, outstanding career. They're great teammates. I'm pretty sure that the fans in Boston love them. They many memorable moments that they have given that organization. So I'm excited that they were both honored for their accomplishment.
One more question, Tony?
Yeah, and I'm curious, Orlando. We watch managers manage, and to me, it seems like managing a big league club is an incredibly difficult job. And you worked under some of the best. And is that something you may aspire to as time goes on?
I love to. I mean, every ex-major league players, I think they do have the knowledge with the experience. I love to one day have an opportunity to not only manage or coach in the big leagues, be part of an organization. At this time, I'm really in Puerto Rico. I'm really not close to signing a contract with anyone, but hopefully this coming year I will get an invitation or an offer to be part of an organization. Baseball has been my life, and obviously it's every dream to not only play, but if you can continue and stay in the game, it's what you experience, your knowledge that you acquire in your career. I mean, it's got to help someone out there. I'm pretty sure.
It would.
We can see you helping many clubs, my friend.
And just for our fans out there, Tony, some of the teammates he was privileged to play with and watch: Barry Bonds, Joe Carter, Roger Clemens, Paul Molitor, Pedro Martinez, Sammy Sosa, Jeff Bagwell, Jeff Kent. I could keep going on.
You can keep going on.
So he has seen his share of great ball players. And again, Orlando, you've been a gentleman, and you've been kind enough to join us again. And perhaps we can do it again down the road on either one of these shows. But again, all we can do is please stay in touch with us, and we wish you continued luck. And we'll be following your progress. And good luck to you, my friend.
As always.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and good luck to the show. I hope the fans continue listening to you guys, because you bring players that have not only an experience but different backgrounds, and much more success to your show. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
That's the goal.
So
Orlando,
much.
you've been very
Thank you.
kind. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good
Have
night,
a good
sir.
night.